Hello everyone, welcome back to the video. As per usual, I'm going to go through where I left off from the email, right? Starting from 8th of July. The last video was posted on the 5th of July. Thank you for your support. And we are going to go through since 8th of July until now, what happened to the market and how technical analysis can help us in tracking the development of the market to give us a better idea what to expect going forward. Now, if you look at the email that some of you may have received, okay, you are looking at the S&P 500, yeah, which you can see the chart right now on the screen. It's pretty strong. It has three solid white candle, and the most recent one at that point of time, close on the 7th of July, was a solid white candle again, and it's an all-time high level. So when you are looking at this kind of chart, there's obviously no weakness because the candle is solid green. And what you can only do is just to ride through the trend, right? Whichever stocks you find bullish can still continue to look for opportunity to long for some profit. But one thing that you need to take note is that because the index is at all-time high, right? You need to be extra cautious. So how to be cautious? Reduce your trading size at the top. Okay, at the top, reduce your trading size, right? Don't go for your normal size. Probably you go for a smaller size because you will not know when the market will end the run. We will not know. So best to protect ourselves is to lose whatever we can really negate. Okay, we can look at these losses and laugh it off. Okay, so this is what I would think, and this is the opinion that I'd like to share with you. Okay, especially if you are trading for the whole month, for example, you are already in a profitable position, means your whole P&L of your own trading account is profitable. So your objective towards the month end is to make sure that it stays positive. So it's not to do like sales, chong as high, or make sure your profit gets as high as possible. No, in fact, it should be ending positive. Okay, so bear in mind, we are not running our own bank account as a corporate. We don't need to report to shareholders unless you need to report to your wife or your spouses about your gain. But I would pretty sure that they would be quite forgiving for not achieving higher profits. But then what they probably want to see is slight growth, but not a lot of growth. So having said that, this is my view. So if you look at the index all-time high, yes, you can continue to trade and ride, but bear in mind of your trading size. Okay. And then, of course, you have to look for upcoming data, what is going on this week. Like, for example, Powell is going to testify, CPI data is coming out. So CPI, now the whole market tone is about inflation. If inflation remain at a stubborn level, of course, it is keeping the interest rate high, which would limit the corporate growth. So that's why the whole market is focusing on CPI. So you got to know that. And of course, if you are looking at this week, tonight there was an important PCE inflation data as well. So the market will be nervy as what happened last night. Okay, later on we are talking about that. So coming to STI, you see STI was very strong, and then it fired the first warning shot by pulling back. So this pullback is a solid long black candle. So the first impression is that, okay, is this uptrend coming towards an end? This strong bull run is coming to an end or not? By looking at the long black candle, I personally think that seems like it, but of course I would not draw a conclusion that it will really continue to go down to 3351. I would see on that day's performance, because when you look at this chart, this was the previous day performance. So you have to look at today how the market react to this long black candle. Okay, so if you look at the write-up, is that if the index were to close lower, it may potentially fill up the gap here. So this is the gap that I was referring to. Then if you look at Hang Seng, it is on a downtrend. As you can see, this pullback forms a lower high, and this downtrend is likely to persist if this support at 17583 got broken. Okay, then we talk about AEM, where this support at 178 has to be there, firm and steady. Okay, so let's take a look at the chart here on AEM and then see what really happens. Okay, so if you look at the chart, it's slightly more colorful and more creative right now. Okay, so now I'm going slow, but later on we're going to be on a faster speed so that the video is not boring and draggy. So you can see the moving average is above. So these are moving average. Below is MACD, moving average, convergent, divergent, and stochastic. These are the common indicators or old school indicators that people use that are still effective. Okay, you can see that I previously mentioned that 178 support has to hold. In fact, AEM currently is not holding. It is not holding at 178, but it actually searched out for the lowest level, which is 172 as a support. So if 172 support breaks, the downtrend will continue. As you can see, all the moving average are moving down. Okay, so they are pointing down, sloping down. So this means that this stocks is moving in a downtrend, and you can see that MACD, the blue line, is a negative region, means that it is on a downtrend as well. While stochastic do shows that the stocks is at the oversold level, which means that there are excessive selling in the past, but doesn't mean that oversold will bring the stocks back to overbought. So overselling doesn't mean that the buying will bring the stocks to overbuying. So it still boils down to whether the support can hold or not. So if the support can hold and this AEM were to be able to go back to this resistance at 196, then you can have a double bottom formation. Chart formation is another classical analysis where many will expect a change of trend after that if we can break above 196. So this is crucial for AEM. So you got to watch out 172 going forward. So then we are looking at the next one. Okay, the next email. Of course, the S&P 500 start to show some weakness, as you can see this doji pattern. So this is where you have a long some upper shadow and some lower shadow, which you can see the struggle between the bulls and the bears during the day, the buyer and the seller. So at this point, you got to stay focused and then make sure that if the market doesn't do well, the first thing to do is to limit your downside, run as fast as possible. Okay, because the last time when the stocks hit all-time high, like here, right, it tend to have a significant pullback. So of course, this is where you have to be careful, be on guard. Then as this STI pullback, but you look at the pullback, it's not a continuous long black candle. It's in fact a doji pattern. So this tells you that the downside seems to be limited, not excessive selling. Isn't excessive follow through selling over there. So when this happens, you can see here, as the comment says, despite the STI ending negative, the candle pattern suggests the downside is subdued. So this is where the observation is very clear, it's subdued. So you got to look at the next movement. So if the next movement is a strong white candle, it underscores the robustness of the current movement, and of course, therefore, the rebound to go for higher level is very possible. Okay, so this is where you have to take note. And then you are looking at this Hang Seng breaking its support. Like I mentioned, this is lower high, breaking support, downtrend continues. So as usual, this is not a very strong market to look at. It's pretty weak. Then SIA shows signs of going up as it remains in the uptrend and pull back to test support at 695. Okay, so let's take a look at SIA now. So the difference between SIA and AEM is very clear. You can see SIA, all the moving average is pointing up. So as I mentioned, SIA is supposed to go up and SIA did go up, but the only thing that it did not complete is that it did not completely fill up the gap, which I do want to see the filling up the gap. Okay, then SIA start to pull back. the market is just holding the price towards the dividend that is coming on the 1st of August, which is very fat dividend, 38 cents. And therefore, you can see that SIA is starting to go below the first MA, which is a 20-day moving average. So this one you have to take note, because basically a stock, if it holds between 20 and 50, there's still chance to go back to uptrend. But there's some sign that SIA is moving on a sideways already, especially when dividend is coming. There's more uncertainty going forward, because only after the dividend is given out, then the market will actually go for its real true movement. So this is usually the case. So you got to watch out SIA, what's going to happen. Of course, if we come back to 712, that will be more positive and more bullish than expected. Okay. Then we have ComfortDelGro, which you see a double bottom formation, which I mentioned earlier. Double bottom can go for more upside, potential change in trend, and projected level is 142. And you can see ComfortDelGro. For those who are holding ComfortDelGro, congrats, it actually touched 142 before it started to pull back. Of course, you can choose to take profit, or you choose to want to go for higher level. But you can see the stop price is trading above all the moving average. It's pretty fine. And the only thing that I don't like, you can see a lot of upper shadows, doji, lower shadow. This stocks is moving really, really slowly. So if you have deep pockets to hold on to this counter, of course, by all means, because the stocks has begin to change its trend from downtrend here, okay, to potentially turning up. Then, of course, the next challenge will be going back to 142 and break out from there to continue its uptrend. The next email shows that the S&P 500 start to show further weakness. Okay, so the next candle is in fact a red one. A higher opening end up lower, despite S&P 500 is slightly positive, as you can see from the image over here, up 4 points. But the thing is that starting to show all this losing of strength, okay, lack of continuous buyer, which is very normal at the top, right? Will put you in an alert mode where you should really scale down your position, or even if possible, take half profits or even cut half losses if you want to really protect yourself. So as STI, as I mentioned, I saw the subdued action, and then we expected a rebound, and indeed it rebounded. So this tells you there are more strength, and hitting resistances like, for example, 3444 and 3454 is possible, and this will confirm the strength of the rebound and continuation of bullish trend. Hang Seng trying to fight back after breaking the support, but unfortunately, it doesn't last long. So the fight back actually gives us a glimmer of hope that it may come back. So the first signs to tell us that the index can change its trend is by hitting this resistance. Okay, these resistances, this is the first sign. But going forward, you still need to achieve a swing down, swing up action to go for sideways. But if it swing down and doesn't swing up, then of course it can still go back to downtrend. Then iFast, there's a trend channel established over here. So we want to see whether it can maintain in this channel or it start to form another type of uptrend. Okay. Then we have DBS. In my opinion here is that I have a what we call a short-term trade idea. That's why I have a reference entry, reference stop, for your trades, and then the target to take profit. So whenever I put this, is usually meant for short-term trades. Okay, so let's take a look at these two counter. So we have iFast and this DBS over here. Okay, so iFast, where you see it actually did stays above its MA, its 100-day MA, but then of course you can see some struggle over here. It actually broke down the uptrend channel, and start to move in another direction. But last night result was pretty good. You can see a very strong rebound back above the MA, and the first thing that, or the next thing that the stocks has to do is to come to this resistance at 764 to 774 in order to continue to move its uptrend movement. And the MACD is looking positive, and stochastic is also looking positive. So there's a high chance for us to see higher profit. So keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully it clears 774 or 773. Then we have a potential chance to see iFast going back to 848. Okay. Next will be DBS. when we see DBS, you know, the trading idea actually works perfectly. It actually hit beyond the target price before DBS came down. So you can see DBS right now is on a downward trend, and it is trying to hold between the 20 and 50-day MA. And if you look at the price action, it's actually more bearish than bullish. So if DBS were to you know, have an extensive selling activity, then we will see it touch the 100-day MA over here. So DBS, for those who collect DBS for long-term one, for dividend, etc., the buying zone is around here, about 35 to 36, which is a consolidation trades during this period, it actually consolidated over here for a long period before it broke up. So what you are looking at is that if it did not hold at this consolidation zone, which is strong support, you have to look out for the 100-day MA and 200-day MA for entry. So the 200-day MA is actually at the 31.55 level, which is pretty low and pretty attractive price to buy if you can really hit there. But then again, I don't expect it to go to 35. Maybe at best is 34. Okay. Now, next, let's move on. So I'm going to go slightly faster. Okay, so next is you can see the S&P 500. Wow, suddenly burst up despite the weakness starting to show up. So there is a strong buying because due to what Fed chair said, because he says that he doesn't need to see the inflation go to 2% before starting to cut rate. So this actually have an extra booster for the market. So instead of dying, the market actually boosts up. But then your precaution is still going to be on because again, market is all-time high. STI, as expected, continue to go higher. Hang Seng continue to struggle at the support level. And then we are looking, as mentioned, you know, Hang Seng is not that strong. And then you are looking at Sembcorp, which seemingly trying to shake off this downtrend, but of course disappointing. Okay, why? Because the Sembcorp, the long white candle, the next day does not have any follow through buying. You can see here, you open higher and then sell down again. So you push it back to downtrend, and it is this downtrend is very profound because the 20-day MA has been tracking it quite well. You can see it is trading below this 20-day moving average, and then you can see all the indicators are at the negative region and oversold. So Sembcorp, for some reason, has been pretty weak, but the fundamental hasn't changed yet. The only thing that I think the market doesn't like is that Sembcorp did not announce any updates last quarter. So this quarter, it has to say something about its company status. If not, right, the market will continue to sell off, I believe. Okay, next. You start to see the sell-off happening. Okay, the next day S&P 500 erase all the gains, and this is a long rate that you have to pay attention to because this potentially can lead to more sell-off. It forms a resistance at 5642, and this is in fact you know, a warning sign, like I say. And of course, by taking precaution, you are not likely to be badly affected by this, but still do expect the market to continue come down potentially. Then you are looking at STI breaking up pretty strongly above the resistance, but then of course you can start to see some weakness, some cracks because there are some upper shadow already. Okay, so over here, okay, so going to Hang Seng here, you can see that it has been you know, struggling, and then suddenly it popped up with a very nice white candle because there is some this good positive news that is coming out, and in fact China, they're having their meetings. So what happened is that you have to watch whether it can test the resistance, and that was what I was expecting. Test the resistance, change its trend, hopefully. Okay, next. Right, you can see S&P 500 did not follow through selling on this long red candle, but of course, again, to me, it's still a warning sign. And you see the next day coupled with a long upper shadow. So there's some signs that the buying on top seems to be weakening, or of course at the top, right, it's pretty normal. You can see at every top there will be having this sign. Once it start to hit some certain low or support level with long lower shadow, then you start to move up. So it's always like that. The cycles also repeat. So it is always the same where you have to stay cautious at the top. Of course, at support level, you can be more confident if you hold at the support level. Then STI continue to scale higher despite having the cracks. But again, at the high, still need to pay attention to it. Then Hang Seng, you see, right, went to the resistance as I expected. But of course, breaking above this resistance is just the first step. Right? In fact, it's a crucial step that we need. The next follow-through buying will be more important because hitting 18518 will be a real movement for us to see that the trend is developing towards the up. Wilmar forming a double bottom, it needs to go to 319 and break out from there. Okay, and let's take a look at Wilmar here. So we see Wilmar, the so-called double bottom hasn't really formed up because it doesn't hit the 319 level. As you can see, the moving average are pretty flat, so this tells you that the stocks is moving on the sideways. It doesn't really tell us a lot from the MACD or information, but stochastics at oversold, but then you can see today is pretty weak. It's a black candle because basically it needs to go back to the resistance at 319320. So having this kind of performance today tells you that the weakness may persist, and we really need to wait for that true movement to come. Going back to the email, we have the market. You can see it is continuously warning us. Okay, you can see that yes, despite closing higher, there's long upper shadow again. The warning is still there. So your position should be still profitable, not much because you reduce your size, but of course, just continue right the trend. And STI start to show cracks, as you can see here. There's the sign of weakness emerging from the black candle. Then we have Hang Seng. Once it start to erase the gain of the white candle or cover up the white candle in this aspect, okay, because it get open lower and close straight at the white candle low. So this actually tells you absolute weakness, and the sign of going uptrend is fluttering, and so it may be moving sideways. So if it's moving sideways, then you'll hit back this support at 17464. Okay. Then you can see that S&P 500 finally breaks down, and this is the first sign of turning that you have to pay attention to, because this breakdown is not an ordinary breakdown. Okay? It surprises everybody because out of the blue, it just kept down and just have these long red candles. Okay, and then you are looking at a comment here. You see it's testing the mini support over here. So once it breaks the mini support, then it may continue go down to this resistance support at 5500. And STI, you see the pullback over here. Then you can have more pullbacks. Okay, especially if the market did not take heed of the white candle. Hang Seng, as you can see, continue to pull lower. This expected. So aim for 17464. SIA Engineering looking at to upward break if it can continue its bullishness, but unfortunately it continue its consolidation. Okay, so why did I say that? Because I've been watching the stocks every day, and you can see that instead of breaking up, it continued its consolidation, and it broke down yesterday, which I expected it to come down, because on the next follow-up email over here on SIA Engineering, as I mentioned here, that the strength of the resistance is there, so therefore the 238 support potentially be tested again. Okay, and then of course you can see STI actually come down to test support level, and Hang Seng trying to form a low over here, but of course in the end it did not, as expected. So you can see SIA now, SIA Engineering now is actually trading at 230 instead of 238. So because it broke down the MA, so now it's in between the 20 and 50-day MA, and if it can holds there, the uptrend will remain intact. Next will be see S&P 500 continually go down. As I mentioned here, this is the important turning point. And then you are looking at STI continue to scale lower. Okay, so the previous email was saying that STI hitting the support. So if holding the support is crucial and forming the next higher low is important, but the STI unfortunately did not follow through. In fact, it went down to test the lower support, and Hang Seng went down to test the lower support as anticipated. Sets tracking this 9-day MA. Okay, so this 9-day MA is for strong bullish stocks like Sets. Okay, so if it breaks below this 9-day MA, it may go for a different type of movement going forward. So I'm watching closely on that. Caroline Invest, I'm looking at all the MAs to make sure that if you can hold above all these MA, there's still chance for it to go up. So Sets, you can see here, it actually, in fact, just now the 9 MA was around here, but the stocks actually is moving down towards its 20-day MA. So then the uptrend is still intact. In fact, if it touches the 20 MA, it may present a good opportunity for us to enter. A lot of people may have concern about this so-called MACD bearish crossover. Well, in uptrending stocks, this is very common. You can see here also have a bearish crossover, but Sets eventually still goes up, right? So it will be able to repeat the same thing if it's still bullish. Then we are looking at this very important lifeline for CapitaLand Invest, which is to hold above all the MAs. And yeah, it is holding. And now if it appears above this 200-day MA, there might be a chance for it to go back to hit resistance at 284. So keep a close eyes on this. Next will be the next email. Okay, so we have this. S&P 500 went down to test the 5500 support, as I mentioned. And after that, it rebounded strongly. Okay. And STI continued to scale lower. And Hang Seng rebounded from the support level. So this is the first sign that it may go for sideways. But of course, if it doesn't close above here, 1776 thereabout, okay, then it is all futile. Okay. Then Valuetronic is still on uptrend, so it has to hold at the support level. Let's go for Valuetronics and see what happened to it right now. So Valuetronic, yeah, you can see it doesn't hold at the uptrend line. But again, a lot of stocks you notice is still in between 20 and 50. So the next thing that all these stocks has to do is to go back above its 20-day MA to continue its uptrend. If it breaks below 50, then there's a risk for it to change its trend, especially it can come to 100-day MA or 200-day MA. Then next is S&P 500 struggled to move up on the next day. And this is a bearish sign because it has a long upper shadow and it's a black red candles. So to me, this is a very pretty bearish signals, or not a positive signals in my opinion. STI rebounded, but it can be a short-lived because the global market sentiment is not very strong. So even with this rebound, I'm not very confident that it will continue higher. Hang Seng, you see, after the long white candle, it starts to form a long black, which negates the long white, and of course, it's going for a downtrend. Next, the trend changing dive S&P 500 happened on the 24th of July. This is a Black Wednesday because S&P 500 fell more than it usually. So it fell 128 points out of the blue. Okay, there is no trigger by the government or war or whatever. It just fell by 2%. Normally, when S&P does that, goes for 100 points drop is when there is extreme bad news like Donald Trump trade war, etc. But out of the blue, there isn't anything that is happening around the world. There's no announcement at all. S&P 500 crashed down 128 points. So this is a trend changing dive. Then you're looking at STI trying to hold above the support level 3435. Hang Seng going for a downtrend as mentioned. Then you are looking at this S&P 500 crashing down further last night. Okay, so this is a trend trending dive, like I mentioned, and is testing the support at 5400. And you can see STI form a lower high for potentially going for a downtrend, especially if today closed lower. But seems like STI is relatively calm right now, despite last night S&P 500 was doing well. Was doing not well, sorry. Hang Seng continue lower. It has to defend 17,000 psychological support, but unfortunately, I don't think it's supporting right now. Let's look at STI and Hang Seng chart. So you can look at STI. So STI is trying to survive as it forms a hammer pattern. It just crossed below its 20-day MA. And Hang Seng, the 17,000 seems to be still there. So now it's 17,440, sorry, 17,040 points. So if you can close above this 200 MA, there's still a chance for it to go up, but it's tough. Like you can see all the MA above it, blocking it from going up, unless there's a super strength for it to pierce up all this MA to continue to go up higher. Okay, so with this, I hope you like the video, and I'm going to do this again, but I'm not sure when as and when I can make it, I will definitely do it. Okay, I'll see you again. Good day, goodbye.